He is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and the champion head coach of the Packers back in the day for Super Bowl 45 on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line. Mike McCarthy here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing well, Rich. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. What is Sean McVay feeling like today, do you think, Mike?
Oh, I hope he's hungover. No, but yeah, definitely. What a great game. And I know you just talked about Eric Weddle's story. I mean, that's so impressive to watch, and clearly seeing him have that pec injury and just go right back in there, and heck, he's calling the defenses. We're in the green dot, and only being there for a couple of weeks. So just so impressive all the way around. So I was very happy to see Eric get that championship.
Yeah, I mean, and just in terms of how McVay is feeling, I guess, how was your feeling after you win a Super Bowl 45? I mean, that's like put me in McVay's shoes based through yours is essentially, I guess, what I should have asked.
I remember talking to Mike Tomlin about the post-game press conference, how it's so unfair on the head coach to have to go to an 8 a.m. press conference the next day, and I don't think my tongue has ever been that wide. You're trying to answer questions, and because I couldn't even tell you how much sleep I had, and Mike and I had a good laugh about it because it's probably the biggest challenge you have over the weekend is that press conference the next morning.
Right, I know, and so, but yeah, because you got to wake up the next day and you're standing there with the commissioner, and he's dressed nicely, and you just rolled out of bed, right? Isn't that the way it works?
Or not quite even went to bed. I mean, just maybe jump in the shower and change your clothes.
Oh my God!
No, it was. I mean, great memories. Obviously. Just really, spending it with your team and your family afterwards. So, I mean, that's a memory that never gets old revisiting, that's for sure.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, too, McVay's from Ohio in Dayton, and he might have made a lot of people back in his hometown very upset by beating the Bengals. I imagine you did the same thing by beating the Steelers, right, Mike, back in the day?
Very true, very true. And I'll say this, I think still having all my family back there, kind of the common response that we all heard from the Pittsburgh Steelers fans. If if they were going to lose, it was the right team to lose to. So I always thought that was a good way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have preferred to play anybody else in the AFC because I'm still a Pittsburgh Steelers fan at heart. I think that's part of growing up there, and that never leaves you. My family still roots for the Steelers. It's their second team. But yeah, it was a cool experience once it was over. But it's definitely I would have rather played somebody else, no doubt.
Mike McCarthy here on the Rich Eisen Show, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I know you said after the loss to San Francisco that you weren't planning on watching the playoffs. Did you catch much of the Super Bowl, or is it's just tough to watch a game that you wanted to be coaching in yourself?
I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it's twofold. I did not watch the divisional round games. It was definitely still too fresh. I mean, for me personally, but I did watch the championship games, and I definitely watched the Super Bowl Sunday. So I had a chance to sit down with our youngest son George. Him and I watched it, and it's. Like I said, it's painful to be sitting on your couch on Super Bowl Sunday. I think everybody feels that way when you know you have an excellent chance to be there. But in the same breath, I'm a fan. I'm still a fan of the game of football, and I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a great game to watch. I thought both quarterbacks, and I was very happy for Matthew Stafford. I had a chance to compete against him a ton in the AFC North, and just so deserving of a championship. So it's nice to see a quarterback, or all the players that go through some trials and tribulations, and to come out with a successful Super Bowl Sunday. So I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a hell of a game.
And I imagine with the Rams on your schedule next year, you are hoping Aaron Donald might follow through on tapping out on his career, right, Coach?
Highly recommended. I think they all should retire. I mean, I think they're looking at it the right way.
Right.
Just take a year off.
I imagine to at least take a sabbatical. Think about it. I know. Yeah. So I'll ask you the same question I asked your quarterback, Dak Prescott, when he was in this show studio last Thursday. How often do you think about the way the game ended against San Francisco? How often does that creep into your head, Mike McCarthy?
Oh, I mean, it never leaves you. That's for sure. I know, clearly. I mean, as a coach, you're always looking at the details of putting your players in position to be successful. So it's something we came in the next day, as a staff and looked at our training tapes and just to make sure that how we present this moving forward, we got it at the details exactly right, because you can only control what you can control, and I think like anything in the game of football, you got to be careful in your evaluation process. So, and that's, frankly, that's what we're doing now. Everybody was back to work today, and we're starting our scheme evaluation and start building our installs for next year. But yeah, I definitely go through that play all the time, and what could we do better? And that's what coaching's all about, because at the end of the day, it's not whether you practiced it or how many times you did it. It's the success of the play, and it's all about making the players successful, and especially offensively, we got to make sure we're putting our quarterback in position to be successful, especially in those game situation segments at the end of the game.
So what would you have done differently, other than just making sure you got another shot at the end zone, which you didn't get? So what would you change if you could?
I think it's like anything. I always look at the application of the training. I learned this as a play caller, back in the early 2000s. I think you have to watch on how you evaluate plays. Every play that you call, you really have to give it 2 grades. Did it win or did it lose? And obviously the fact that we didn't get that, we call it church clock. It's all of our situation, all our game situation plays, have tags, and we're in a 2-play, last 2-play sequence there, and so. Did the play win or lose? And obviously not getting the ball clocked in time, so the play was a loss. So, but you got to take it a step further in your evaluation, and you got to give it a plus or a minus. Was the scheme, was it favorable for our players to be successful on that play? And that's the part that we've taken a close look on, because you want to make sure you're training it properly, moving forward. And if you remember the play. We were in what we call, sideline offense, because, we didn't have the timeouts, and so we were able to get the ball out of bounds, I think, 3 plays prior to that. And San Francisco called the timeout, and so they went to a sideline fence defense. So, schematically, the play, schematically, based on what we had called to get versus their defense, it was a quick throw that was checked to a draw based off of Eric Armstead was the nose. We called it a jumper technique. Where they're playing to stop the quick throw. So I think Dak's decision was correct, but we just got to look at the details of what we'll do in that particular situation, of giving us more time to get the ball, to get the ball spiked and get the clock stopped. So so we'll look at this, the schematic part of it. We'll definitely tighten up those details, but the reality of it is we did not execute the play. So. Because you have to get that last play off, and the whole reason for doing that was instead of throwing the Hail Mary from the 40 plus, you're trying to get it down inside the 30-yard line, because it puts you in another play call, which has a higher percentage. The ability to win. What
do you make of people who place it right on your lap, Coach? That the play call didn't work, it's your fault for letting it go. The number of penalties on the day, the snafu after the fake punt, where you try to snag into either another timeout or another penalty out of them. How does that criticism land in your world?
Well,
Coach?
that's part of being a head coach. That's part of being a leader, and but. Also, I think going back to your evaluation process, I think that's why you got to look at every play in the game. Did it win or did it lose? And also was a scheme favorable to put the players in position. You look at the fake punt, that was a huge play for us, but we were in a hurry up play, coming off of that. So. Obviously they shut it down because of an attempted, substitution on the sideline. So, you look at all those details in your evaluation, but, at the end of the day, it's about winning. And everything we do here on a daily basis is about winning. When I show up for work every day, that's all I ever think about. How can we make the locker room stronger, the teaching environment better? And, and that's really what I keep my focus on. But, I think it's like anything. criticism comes with the job, and frankly, the longer you do it, it's just the more marks you'll have on it, on you because of it. So that just kind of goes with the territory. When you lose, criticism's going to come. It's going to come heavier and harder than probably you've ever experienced in your life when you work at the Dallas Cowboys. That's part of the landscape. So so that's why you just keep plugging, and even if you go back to the last play at the in the San Francisco game, maybe you just chalk it up to throw 2 Hail Marys in honor of Roger Staubach and Drew Pearson and give it a shot. So you can look at all those things as far as your evaluation, but it's about making the players successful, and the players have to have it cleanly as far as the way it's repped, the way they feel comfortable with it. And I've been at this a long time, and I've seen some great plays on film, on paper, at practice. But if it's not oiled up and if it's not totally dialed in, then it's the chances for it to be successful on Sunday are not as high as you want than they need to be. So I think you just got to stay in tune with that. Sorry for such a long answer.
Oh, it's all good. Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so part of the criticism coming your way seems to be in a veiled way from the man who signed your checks, to be very honest with you. Jerry Jones, in a story written on DallasCowboys.com, was talking about Dan Quinn coming back to your fold and mentioning how Sean Payton and Jason Garrett stuck around for a long time as assistants in Dallas because, quote, every one of those 3 coaches have said they'd love to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So my point is that has, in my mind, a lot of logic as to why they might not take a job now rather than one or wait and see how the cards go in the future. The follow-up question was kind of obvious. Like, what about your current head coach, Mike McCarthy? And the quote was, Mike knows that someday somebody other than him will be coach of the Cowboys. What do you think about that supposition, Coach Mike McCarthy?
Oh, so we have an hour, correct?
The floor is yours. The time's yours, as Andy Reid might say in the media. So what do you think?
Well, I think it's a number of things. I think number one, I think it's every landscape in this league is different. I've been very fortunate to work at 2 of the premier organizations in pro football, and they're all different. So and I think clearly in this in this situation, the way things are done here, there's a bigger picture focus, and I've always frankly just keep it about winning, and I've always kind of taken a blind eye or blind ear to those things, but that's not the case when you work here. So I think clearly when you look at those type of comments, I think you have to understand the platform where they're coming from. I have an excellent relationship with Jerry Jones. We talk on a regular basis about everything and anything, big picture, tight focus on what we're doing, program wise, and more importantly, his biggest interest is, the development of our players, especially our young players. So, but when I look at the comments, the thing about Dan, Dan Quinn being here was very important to me and our organization. I think it's the reality of it is, Dan and I had visited long before he ever took a head coach interview, frankly, long before the playoffs even started. Mm-hmm. About how happy he is here, and I envy him in some ways where, as a head coach, you get pulled away from the things that really would help you advance in this league. So, the joy that he was having coordinating, he's been a tremendous asset for me, personally and professionally, just having another individual with the experience of a head coach. So, we talked about him staying here, long before he even took the interview. Now, obviously, when he took the interview, and then this narrative broke out, I think in reflection to the relationship that Dan and I do have, he just said, "Hey, man, if I'm not comfortable with this narrative, if you really feel like I need to take one of these jobs, just be honest with him." And we kind of laughed about it, and I just said, "Dan, 10 to 12 years ago, I'd tell you, please get the hell out of here. I don't want to deal with this. But the reality of it is, I'm about winning. He's about winning, and the best thing for the Cowboys is for Dan Quinn to be here. And obviously it was his decision, his alone. But I clearly wanted him to know from the start of all that I wanted him here because it's in the best interest of us winning. I've been at this a long time, Rich. I understand. How hard it is to win a Super Bowl, and so the best thing for us, one of the best for our opportunity to be at the forefront of how we want to do it here, it's having Dan Quinn. So as far as what happens next and all that, I think that's really just part of the landscape. Jerry's the owner, he's the GM, and I mean he's always taking a 360-degree view of everything, and I think it's like anything in life. We have a lot of one-on-one conversations. We discussed all these things. I never once felt that I was not going to be the head coach moving forward, and frankly, I've been at this long enough. That's all I'm focused on, and I think the players, the coaches, football operations is my main hold. I'm the leader of this football team. And I'm about winning, and that's all I've ever focused on, and that's all I ever will focus on. And are these narratives unusual? Absolutely. I've never dealt with anything like this. Do I wish I didn't have to come on here and answer questions about it? Yeah, no doubt about it. I wish we were talking about something else, but it is part of our landscape, and I just think keeping things real and keeping things focused, because at the end of the day, it's about the people that you're in charge of. It's about the people you coach, and most importantly, it's about our locker room. And our locker room's about winning. I love our players. I love what they bring to the table. I think the advancement we made from year one to year two was impressive. We know we have more to offer. The emotion and the sting of how we lost is real, but in my lifetime in this league, it'll make us better, and I truly believe that. So it's part of our process, and it's part of our hard learning experience. But I'm not naive to the fact that you got to take advantage of opportunities when they're in front of you. We did a lot of really good things, some great things this year, but we didn't play our best football at the most important time in our last game, and that's what we have to really focus on moving forward. So
next time you see Jerry Jones, have you seen him since these comments came out, or you haven't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
all right.
I haven't seen him since we went to the Super Bowl, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
I talked to him Saturday. Yeah, we talked on a regular basis.
So do you say to him, today's just not that day? That I realize I'm not going to be the Cowboys coach forever. Today's not that day, right? Did you talk about this sort of stuff with him, or you just go about your business and let him address it at some point? You know what I mean? Like, because it is unusual for an owner to say this sort of stuff, certainly about a coordinator that you have a great relationship with and has done a terrific job. I mean, so that's why I'm just wondering, do you address it directly with him at all?
Yeah, no, we talked about it. We talked about Dan's situation.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about Sean Payton's narrative also. It's been discussed.
You have discussed that with him, huh? What is anything you can share that you have discussed?
Oh, no, I mean, really the conversation was, you and I are in this, back to back, and it's a partnership, and just focus on what we need to do moving forward. And he made some, personal comments about how he feels about it, but that's really for him and I. But I'm very, very comfortable with our relationship and our dialogue. I mean, it's at the end of the day, we both want the same thing, and it's to win the world championship. And definitely the narratives are unusual, but at the end of the day, I think you got to trust the relationships and the communication and the connection that you have in our leadership group, and I think we're doing everything we possibly can to build a championship team here.
Okay, Mike McCarthy, I appreciate the time, sir. I appreciate you coming on this program and chopping it up. And you've got a spot here anytime you want to call, or if you take my call, I'm happy to chat with you as well. So I appreciate the time as always.
Well, Definitely, but let's can we change the narratives next time?
Well, I mean, I'm not in charge of the narratives.
Okay.
I guess I am in charge of which ones I bring up to you. But you know what I'm saying? I hear you, man. And you know, I know the season didn't end the way that you wanted. I got to tell you, you know, but you know this. The quarterback, when he came in here, he's just the real deal in every facet in life. I saw Micah Parsons on the red carpet of the honors with his beautiful son, unanimous defensive rookie of the year candidate. I mean, you've got some serious playmakers at your disposal, and I wish you good luck with that. And let's talk before the draft, and if not after as well, Coach.
Definitely. I'll see you in Indianapolis. Thanks,
okay,
Rich.
Fantastic. Thanks for the call. That's Mike McCarthy, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.